Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So today we're talking about the collapse of Western civilization as we know it. Are we unconsciously, collectively, bringing about the collapse? Look at all the stuff that has been going on this year and ask yourself, are we on some unconscious level wanting shit to hit the fan? Think about the human obsession with apocalyptic film and TV shows over the last 10, 20 years, and how more and more apocalyptic genre and even prepping and survivalism and off-grid life, tiny home life, minimalism, getting off the grid, that kind of thing. Think of how popular those things have become. Why are these things so popular? I think it has something to do with the fact that technology has outpaced our primitive brain's ability to keep up with it. What do I mean by that? Well, for hundreds of thousands of years, you got to understand that none of this existed. None of this urban landscape existed. We were basically on a subsistence level, just trying to sustain life, just clawing through the jungle, trying to get calories. That was the majority of our lives. And we existed in tribes, by and large. Now, we got a sense of community and gratification from the tribe, which is trying to be replicated by technology. But I don't think that it's actually serving that purpose or fulfilling that need we all have to be in a tribe, and hence the increase in tribalism in our society right now. What we're starting to see is a collective anhedonia with things, a collective sigh of discontent with materialism. People have realized that shit doesn't make you happy. Things don't make you happy. That whole suburban sprawl from the 1950s, and get the white picket fence and the 2 cars and the nice little house, and people are starting to realize that that's not fulfilling on some deep level. There's just something ingratifying about it. And because there's more and more stuff nowadays, there's more and more novelty, everything becomes depreciated in value when there's more and more stuff to do, more stuff to watch, more things to experience and indulge in, more activities to partake in, more video games to play, more movies, more people to see, swipe left, swipe right. All of these dopamine generating activities, which have us all like gamblers at a slot machine, just pulling the slot all day long, trying to get a little bit of satisfaction, like Mick Jagger would say. But nobody can get any satisfaction because we're starting to realize that this shit doesn't make us happy. And I think that we're collectively wanting a collapse, almost like a reset, so our food can taste good again. Imagine if you went into a restaurant and there was 10,000 things to choose from. Imagine if you were single and you went to a town and there was 10,000 beautiful people to choose from. Would you have a hard time? There's a certain amount of choice which is overwhelming to people. And this is evidenced in the fact that we live in this disposable society, okay? And this is why, maybe divorce rates are so high, and this is why polygamy and having this polyamorous relationship stuff is getting more popular, because people are constantly referencing social media, and they're seeing all these fronts on social media, these profiles of people, which is only the front end of people's life. Everybody knows that the stuff you put on social media is but the tip of the iceberg. Just like the unconscious, like Freud said, what comes to the top is all nice and pretty, but lurking underneath is a sea of chaos. And as is our Facebook profiles. They just show you the front of the house. They don't show you the backyard and all the cluttered shit you got stuffed in your garage and how dirty your bedroom is and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's why I think that we as a species, I guess you could say, but primarily in the West, where we have this anhedonia, where we simply, we're not getting the same joy from pulling that slot machine over and over again like we used to. And it's turning into now that we need a reset in order to feel again. That's why you get people doing these extreme things. That's why you see people going off grid and downsizing into these tiny homes, which is kind of an extreme thing to do when you think about it. It is probably going a little bit too far in the opposite direction, but people are doing it. I've watched these videos of some of these YouTubers who have gone like incredibly minimalist. They'll buy like a $50,000 a month New York skyscraper apartment, and they'll have nothing in it. It's just windows and a chair or something like that, something really extreme. And it's because people are realizing that shit doesn't make you happy, okay? So that's why everybody is rioting out there. Well, that's not the only reason. It's because there's a lot of people who don't have their base level needs met, but they have all the other shit I'm talking about. They have all the novelty to keep them busy, but they don't have their base level needs met. And the other thing they don't have is that tribalistic component. Why do you think people are clamoring for likes on social media? Why do you think that everybody is just looking for that acceptance? Because especially with this pandemic, we've accelerated in our communication over this medium where there's this filter, there's this wall between you and me. I can't touch you. I can't, feel you. I can't really feel like I'm present with you. But this is how we're all interacting now, through this window to the world, okay? And because of that, it's diminished. And people are looking for that acceptance. People are trying to get what we had for hundreds of thousands of years from the tribe. And that's why tribalism is resurging. And that's why you have people who are literally frothing at the mouth for a civil war. There's people who want nothing more than for shit to hit the fan, either on an unconscious level or on a conscious level. Now, I think it's happening unconsciously. I think that we are self-sabotaging in the same way that a person with mental health issues or a drug addict or whatever the case might be sabotages themselves by putting themselves in situations that they know are going to be bad, by getting into relationships that they know are going to be bad, but they do it anyways because they feel this compulsion to do so. I think that we are doing that as a species. I think we are setting ourselves up for disaster. I think the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years have really just been setting us up so this whole shitstorm could take place, because we knew these things were coming. We knew there was going to be a pandemic. Okay, we knew that there was going to be civil unrest due to the disparities in wealth in our society. We knew that there were systemic issues we needed to address. We knew that there was going to be geopolitical turmoil as a result of two major superpowers who are vying for power and trying to spread their influence around the world. We knew that there was going to be climate catastrophe. We know all these things, yet we are plagued with denial. We are tribalistic, and we're just fanning the flames at this point. That's why I think that there's three ways this can go, okay? Because I feel that technology, as good as it's been to us, and as much as it's brought us, it's also reached its limit for what it can do for us. Think about social media for a second and how it's evolving. Have you ever used the app TikTok? Okay, that's like the crack cocaine of social media right there. Condensed bites of information that are increasingly more and more exciting and sensational to give you that dopamine jolt, that little bit of dopamine just to get you to the next minute. And what happens when you become dependent on that kind of dopamine cycle? Well, your baseline becomes depression. So everybody's walking around latently depressed, wanting constant instant gratification because there's so much to choose from. You get into a relationship, it's going good, but you see something that looks a little bit better. So, I got to go chase after that now. So the only way evolution on that trajectory of the consumption of media can continue is if people modify themselves. And that's why you got people like Elon Musk with Neuralink trying to find a brain interface which is going to expand the bandwidth through which we can take in more information to just keep it ramping up even more and more and more to infinity, I guess. Because remember, our brains can only handle so much. We are biological beings. We can only handle things sequentially. We can only process so much information. There's just too much information now. We've reached the point where we've reached the capacity. It doesn't matter if we have 6G, 7G. For what? Our brains are not capable of leveraging it in a lot of meaningful ways. So the next frontier is the brain, and arguably, well, not the last frontier. I suppose space is also the last frontier, but one of the last frontiers is the mind, and finding a way to interface with it in a way which we can speed up the information processing. If we can't do that, you're going to get people who are resisting the matrix, people who have a natural aversive reaction to it because they're realizing this isn't making me happy. People who are realizing that they're addicts. We are a society of addicts. Everybody's an addict. If you go on Facebook and you check your Facebook 50 times a day, you are an addict, and it's making you depressed. And that's why the designers of those tech platforms, and this is a known fact, this is not just something I made up, they designed those social media platforms in the same way, just like this one that you're watching here, in the same way that they designed those slot machines and VLTs and casinos. They make it so that there's a slight delay when you pull up your news feed to give you that little buzz of dopamine when you see that red indicator of how many likes you got or how many comments or notifications you got, because it's all about the tribe. That's all we want. All we're looking for is the next little bit of positive sensation on our brains to carry us to tomorrow. All the technology is just a means to feeling good. It doesn't matter whether you're a hobo on the street or a multi-billionaire. It costs a billionaire 100,000 times more to get the same release of dopamine as it does a hobo who finally got a meal that week, a nice meal where he could sit down and eat it. And it could just be the crappiest thing that the billionaire would never touch. But it's all relative is what I'm saying. Everybody's just chasing a feeling. And the marketers understand this. So that's why I think that this has to collapse. It has to collapse, or we have to modify ourselves so that we can keep the whole dopamine sensation train going, or people are just going to start going off grid, and you're going to have a new wave of Amish type, new age Amish type person who incorporates certain aspects of technology but keeps it at a level, right? I think that's what's going to happen. But all of this stuff that we're seeing right now, all this tragedy, you know, I believe that we're unconsciously bringing it about. I think there's a part of it that reminds us that we're alive. There's a part of it which is sabotaging ourselves so that we can be one with the tribe once again. That's such a cool background, man. That's amazing. What amazing background for this video. Wow. Props to the artist who did this. This is amazing. See, not all public destruction needs to be deconstructive. Some of it can be inspiring, like this. This is just a wall. Why not decorate it with something? It's a wall in a back alley that unfortunately nobody's ever going to see. Anyways, guys, all I can say is get ready for the shit to hit the fan, because I believe that this is the unraveling. Now, I will say, there was a theorist, and his name was Terence McKenna. He had a theory called time wave zero theory, and he thought that what I'm talking about today, with the increasing amount of stuff and novelty and increasing complexity of the universe as we know it, human beings, he thought that it's going to reach a critical point, a critical mass. Some people call it the singularity. Whether that's 10 years, 20 years, 1 year from now, who knows? Quantum computers, artificial intelligence, these things could kickstart that whole process really fast. But he thought that if we can get over that meridian, if we can get over that hump, and we can get through this period of chaos, that this is the natural precursor chaos to species achieving interplanetary civilization. So maybe that's the case. Maybe we just have to get through this period of time where we straighten our shit out, where we let our technology catch up to, or let our biology, I should say, get those things sync up our biology with our technology, so we don't have people going out of their minds, because that's what's happening. I mean, think about the idea that's being propagated, and you guys know that I'm not like one of these fundamentalist religious people or anything like that, but think about how stupid the idea is that you shouldn't have kids and that you should just self-indulge for the rest of your life. Do you realize how counterproductive that is to everything that has been ingrained into your physical body to do? Every single thing about our physical makeup is there for the purpose of procreation, breeding. The only reason why you have any attraction to people whatsoever is because there's a propagation mechanism going on there. It's not that you like the girl because of the features she has. That's just a means to an end. It's just a means to put your seed in the egg. That's all it is. Every sexual construct beyond that is an artificial creation by culture and our minds. The whole point is simply to procreate. So what do you have then when you're telling a nation, a society of people that, you know, you just shouldn't have kids, right? Because it's bad for the environment. And you guys know that I'm pro-environment. I think that, you know, we're destroying our habitat. I certainly do. But what happens when you tell people that and they start living like that and they get old and they get lonely? Well, hopefully by the time we actually get there, they're going to have an artificial intelligence bot, like in that movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix, for you to chat with, okay, to keep you busy. And there's going to be robots to keep you busy, in sex bots and all kinds of crazy virtual reality stuff to try to make up for this lack of organic connection. That's all it is. And they're going to pump you full of meds, and they're going to make sure you're nice and satiated and that you don't resist the matrix, because that's what's happening right now. A lot of people are resisting the matrix, whether we're doing it on a conscious or an unconscious level. Anyways, guys, stay safe, stay prepped, because the great unraveling, the great collapse may be upon us. Maybe it might not be for 10 years, but it's certainly in motion. And if we don't do something to change the way that we are interacting with the world, then I have a feeling that it's going to keep escalating. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I really hope this isn't foreshadowing something. Is that foreshadowing something? I hope not. If this is my last video, it's that Illuminati got me, I tell you. See you later, guys.